welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be doing a spoiler review of Changes from the Dresden Files. So if you are not caught up all the way to Changes, the 12th book in the series, you should go ahead and click off of this video unless you just want to spoil yourself, in which case that's fine, but this is your final warning. Spoilers ahead. Alright, let's get into this review. This is going to be my first one, so we'll see how it goes. Doing spoiler reviews, I'm so used to trying to avoid them that we'll see. This might be a little hard. But yeah, so this was definitely a 5-star book for me. I loved it beginning to end. I understand why this one is everybody's favorite, or at least the turning point for the series, right? So let's get into the nitty-gritty, I guess. So right from the start, I really like that it just opens at the inciting incident. Normally, a book is going to take 3 chapters, but this book was just like, boom, you have a daughter, Harry, and she's in trouble. Deal with that. And I also really liked how he kind of wandered around in just a fog about that and was like, because I think that's realistic. We would all be a little shocked to find out we had secret children stolen by vampires. And so that was definitely, I liked the opening, and it was a great hook right from the start. I also like how the severity of Harry's kind of mental state is really pointed out from the very beginning, and that Mac actually talks to him, and we know that's a huge deal because we've seen that set up throughout the entire series that he doesn't talk. And so we get an understanding of wow, this is very bad. Harry is externally very desperate already from the start. I also liked that when Susan finally shows back up, that they definitely set up hey, we can never get back together now. And so saying that at the beginning of a book is very different than saying that at the end of the book, because instead of giving it a sense of finality, the audience is like, are they going to get back together? Because it's really weird to make a statement like that at the beginning of the book. What's going to happen? And of course, what happened is really dramatic, of course, but I guess I didn't realize how much never that was going to be, I also liked how Thomas came back in this book, because I loved when they introduced Thomas in this series. A brotherly relationship is it's so fun, especially because Harry is so alone before that, and it sort of taught him how to care, but we always see that he's very caring. And so Thomas being in this book the whole time, you're just like, no, come back, be yourself again. So that was good. I liked Thomas in this book. Of course, not everything that he did, but I liked that he was back. Let's see, other character and moments that I like, just to kind of start out in sort of a scattered way, and then we'll get a little more organized. Ooh, Murphy, I also liked in this book. I've been, of course, shipping them since the beginning, because it's been pretty clear, I think, that they were going to be, the endgame relationship, although, maybe they won't be. I don't know. Clearly, I don't know what's going to happen in these books anymore. That's fine, but I thought her picking up the sort of faith, I thought that was perfect. Because not only does she have faith in Harry now, she also is faithful as a friend, and I really, really liked that for her. And I think that, now that she can't be a cop, she should really pick up the sword. I really hope she does, because that would be really great. Other characters that I liked, I don't know, all of them. They were all pretty good. Also Mouse. Mouse is great. But yeah, plot-wise, I really thought this book was excellent, because instead of being a typical sort of mystery, it's sort of right from the start action. And so, they're breaking into a building. His apartment building blows up. FBI gets involved. He's got to deal with the FBI. He's trying to escape. He has to go back and get arrested. And, I thought that the action sort of not stopping the entire way through the book, honestly, makes you feel Harry's desperation by the end, makes you feel like you've also been through a great deal of work and just non-stop problems where you feel his exhaustion. You feel how sad and just at the end of his rope he is by the end, because just things keep going wrong. I mean, talk about Dark Night of the Soul. I feel like that's what this is for the series, his house burns down, he has to kill his past lover, his daughter is taken and traumatized and he can't keep her, and everything. I mean, everything is just gone, and he has to, sort of sell his soul to the devil, right, to save his daughter. I just, you can't imagine a lower point. And then, of course, at the end, he dies, I assume. And, like, what a series of bold choices. I mean, the series had sort of established itself as not exactly like Monster of the Week, but Mystery of the Week, sort of, we're going to solve this thing and then everything will go back to the way it was, for the most part. I mean, it had already broken that pattern a little bit with his hand, of course, but, it just gives him sort of the grizzled detective look. But this book was just like, nope, nothing gets to go back, nothing gets to be the same anymore, and I think that was a really bold move, and I think it really worked for the book. Other plot things, I liked how Martin was set up throughout the book. I was wondering if he was going to be a traitor, especially closer to the end when he was walking with Harry up to the temple. I was like, oh, this does not bode well, because he had not done anything. I did spend most of that fight scene wondering where Susan was, but of course, I had forgotten about the invisible cloak, and so I liked that too, the setup beforehand, because I was like, well, he did tell me, I was aware, I just forgot. So I liked that. What other setup things? I don't know, there were a lot of moments in this book that there was setup and then payoff later, even when it felt like a small mention or something that wouldn't necessarily be important later. I liked that we concluded the war with the Red Vampire Court, just because I felt like in the past Harry hadn't been too involved in that, so we didn't really get to see anything other than its beginning, basically, and some clips here and there. But this, we kind of see, Harry has stopped the war, it's all over now, and, it's even more tragic, of course, because he could have saved Susan from her curse, but the only way to save her was by killing her. I did sort of think it was a little ruthless of Martin to, not get himself. He could have killed Susan for Harry and become the newest vampire, and then Harry would have gladly killed him and been way less traumatized about it. He was a little rude, to be honest. Could have made it less traumatic for everyone, but I like that we understood his motivation. We were like, yes, he would sacrifice everything to try to end this race of vampires instead of rescuing the kid being his first priority, because he could have just let Susan, when he could have stabbed the Red King in the back, they could have taken the kid. Maybe, I get that it was sort of iffy if they would have gotten out of there with all the other people in there, but he could have tried. But instead he was like, my mission is not their mission, and that makes for a really compelling character. I think it was a little bit projected just because, Harry hates him a lot, and Harry isn't usually wrong about people like that I can think of. Yeah, typically he's a pretty good judge of character, even if he kind of decides to annoy everyone all the time for no reason. So, yeah. The character work I thought was really good, because we've seen Harry kind of have issues with his anger, have issues with his management. We've seen him overcome temptation before with the demon coin, but here we understand that nothing is going to stop him from saving his daughter. And so when he calls on Mab and he's like, I want to be the Winter Knight, whatever I have to do, we understand, because we've seen him brush with temptation before, but there is a breaking point, and we know what that would have been for him. And of course, introducing this secret daughter, I mean, it really provided that motivation for him to really go over the edge. And so we see Harry, but he's still a likable protagonist to me. I know a lot of people don't like him, but I did still, because you see him kind of over the edge, and you still are like, I agree with you. I mean, when everyone else is like, no, you can't save her. I mean, of course, it turns out that he actually manages to save everyone else anyway. He's like, I don't care. It's my daughter. And that just, I don't know, it hit me right in the feels. At the end of the book, when he had to kill Susan and he was just sad and his daughter and he's going to have to give her up, I literally cried. One single tear just dripped down my cheek, because I felt for him. I felt for the kid. I felt for all of it, because it was just so terrible but so compellingly written, where I was just right there the whole time waiting for everything to happen. And I did think it was rude that at the end they tease him and Murphy getting together, and then of course it doesn't get to happen. Like, come on, give a man a little bit of happiness. I've been waiting for him to get together with Murphy forever, but no, that's fine. Let's see. Oh, I didn't mind the reveal of Ebenezer being his grandfather. I thought that I was like, that's okay. You know, sometimes when people are like, oh, and this person's your family member, and this person's your family member, you know, it can be a little predictable, or you're like, oh my gosh, of course. But in this case, I actually really liked it because it did make a lot of past things make sense. You understand why he stuck his neck out for Harry in the first place, and you kind of understand his relationship with his mom a little bit better, and you also understand why the whole plot of the book was happening. Because it was all about Harry. You're like, I mean, is it really worth that just to kill like a one guy who you could have killed a long time ago if you had like stuff rigged in his walls to blow up? Yeah, could have. Yeah, could have. But it makes a lot more sense that they're going after a much bigger target who's not only Ariana doesn't only want revenge, she's also taking out, you know, the black staff of the wizards, and that's a really important tactical move. And so we understand a little bit better why she's going after Harry's kid. So I liked that reveal. I thought it made a lot of sense. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm okay with this. Did not call that one, though. I liked Molly in this one, as usual. I thought the stuff about her dad not being able to save her anymore, I thought that was, again, like, really compelling emotional beat. You know, I just felt that. I was really sad for her, you know, because it's always sad when your dad can't be your hero anymore. He can't show up and rescue you from stuff, and that's sad. And so, of course, when you're like, see Harry say, I would save you, you're like, of course you would, because you have. That's kind of how she ended up being your apprentice anyway. You saved her like twice in one book, you know? So I just, you know, but she clearly hasn't gotten it through her head. He will save her because she wants her dad to. And I thought that was also a really compelling emotional moment. This is a really scattered review. That's fine. We'll just be all over the place. Let's see, what else? Magic is always good. Good magic system. I liked Odin showing up, or Vadarung, or whatever. I thought that was great. I'm really curious about where that's going, why they have such good tech. Like, I want to see where that's going on. It seems like this book sort of introduced us to the idea that there are a bunch of really big powers up there that are all, like, kind of manipulating things behind the scenes, you know, because you've got Odin, you had the Red King, you have whatever the outsider is that Harry's clearly going to be the adversary of throughout the series. Like, you clearly got a lot of, like, bigger powers running around back there, and so I think that that's interesting. Definitely makes me want to keep reading. I do wonder if Harry dying gets him out of being the Winter Knight permanently, even if he comes back. Because, like, clearly he has to come back because there are a bunch more books in the series. You know, like, clearly he can't be dead forever. Because that would be a little awkward. Sorry, I wanted this to be a little bit more like a chat and less of, like, a formal review. So, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to say about it. I really liked how this book tied in everything, basically, you know, all of his past allies. Like, you got the pizza guard that shows up, but also the Knights of the Cross, who I always love it when they show up. They're so good, and I love the way that, like, faith and the church are portrayed in this book, because it would be really easy to sort of dismiss it and be like, you know, like, a bunch of losers, they don't know what they're talking about, but instead, like, Harry is continually counting on them, and their faith is shown to be valid throughout, and, you know, being a Christian, I really appreciate that. I think it's easy for fantasy books to kind of, like, shake their head at religion, and even though Harry isn't religious or anything, I still think that the way the Knights of the Cross work in the series is just really inspiring and cool, because you're like, yeah, you know, sometimes there are good guys who are just in it to be good. And, like, that's what Harry's trying to do. And I think that relationship where you see Harry trying to do the same thing, but not having a whole lot of help. But in this book, of course, we find out that he kind of has some help. I think it makes for a really compelling character arc for him. Oh, yes. I like that, you know, Mouse was relevant. Thomas comes into it. We see the reach of the White Court and how much influence they have when they rescue Molly at the end with, you know, a tactical helicopter or whatever. You know, like, everybody from the past. They even call Kincaid and the Archive. Mab comes into it. We've got friggin' Odin, apparently. He talks to Marcone, even if it's just for a little bit, and it's been established in the past, like, some seriously excellent forethought, you know, that he is swayed by a little girl in trouble, and that he would help Dresden even if it doesn't necessarily directly benefit him. And, you know, I see Harry growing a little bit in that he doesn't directly try to antagonize the FBI guy who actually seems competent. You know, we see Rudolph being Rudolph, and everything just kind of came into play in this book, and I thought that was really well done, because it could have felt really overwhelming, but instead it felt natural that all of these people would show up to help him or to hinder him or to at least interact and try to get their 2 cents in there. We also see, you know, the Black Council kind of moving, and we see the Gray Council for the first time, and I think this book it accomplished a lot, and it's not even that long, so I don't know, I really had a blast. I thought the themes of sort of, you know, anger and sacrifice and how far are you willing to go for your child, and how far is right, and like, what do you do when you have to make impossible choices? And this book, I think, handled it really well, and I'm really excited for the rest of the series. So, yeah, please let me know what your thoughts on the Dresden Files are down below. Sorry again, this review is a little disorganized. Okay, a lot disorganized, let's be honest. But yeah, maybe next time I'll try a more formal setting, and we'll see if I prefer a sort of just rant about the book and whatever comes to mind, or if I prefer more of a formal setting. I'm guessing I'm going to prefer this one just because it feels more natural to me, but we'll see. So yeah, 5 stars for this Dresden Files book, and I'm loving the series. It's so good. You should definitely read it if for some reason you're watching this spoiler review and you haven't. You gotta read the Dresden Files, man. You gotta. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video, everybody. Bye!